Well, we'll go ahead and get started. I'll call the meeting to order. We didn't have enough paper and we don't know the password to use this one back here, so I'll have to send it to everybody in the email. If everybody have a copy of the agenda and the other materials. Okay. Well, the first order of business is going to be election of officers, as you can see from the minutes that were handed out, and I need to insert that in here as well. I forgot to put approval of the minutes on here. The last meeting of this board was October 3rd, 2019. So we've had some changeover since then. One of the reasons we didn't call the board is because we didn't have anything major come in front of it, and also due to COVID last year, we were not trying to keep down meeting of the boards as much as we could. So if I could just insert right off the bat approval of the minutes, and I know not everybody that's on the board now was on the board at that time.
I make a motion to approve the October 3rd, 2019 minutes.
Motion by Mr. Presley to approve the minutes. Is there a second? Second by Mrs. Turner. All agree? All approval of the minutes? Okay, minutes are approved. Next item is election of officers. And we'll start with election of chair. Just because I'm here now doesn't mean I have to be. If somebody else wants to serve as chair, you're more than welcome to do so. So I'll take nominations for chair.
Teresa.
Mr. Presley has nominated Ms. Turner. And I forgot to say this. If you could, when you're going to speak, look up in front of you and press the little red button there.
I nominate Stephen Chambers.
Have a nomination by
I second that motion.
One nomination from Mr. Presley for Ms. Turner. Ms. Turner has nominated Stephen Chambers. Is there any other nominees? Okay. No, all those who want to vote for Ms. Turner to be chair, say aye. I think she's refusing the nomination there, Mr. Presley. Okay, is that, I think Ms. Teresa, am I correct? You would rather not serve as chair, am I correct in that?
Correct.
So Ms. Turner's withdrawn. That leaves Mr. Chambers as the chair nominee. Is there anyone else who'd like to nominate someone to serve as chair? See, just about everybody shaking their head no. So I guess we'll go ahead. If someone makes a motion to go ahead and approve me as chair, or if you want to do it by acclamation, however you prefer to do
I make the motion to Mr. Stephen Chambers as chair.
it. Okay. Second.
I second it.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Me. All right. Now we'll accept nominations for vice chair.
I make a motion to nominate Mark Presley, vice chair.
I second it.
Motion to nominate Mr. Presley as vice chair. Are there any other nominations?
Jenny Hunter.
I think Ms. Hunter is shaking her head no on that.
I get shut
down. Ms. Hunter, would you rather be removed from nomination or? Okay. Mr. Slee has nominated Mr. Presley. Is there any other nominees? No? Seeing none. Anybody want to make a motion to approve Mr. Presley as the chair? I guess motion's been made by Mr. Slee. I'm going to assume it's going to be seconded by someone. Vice Chair, yes, sir, I'm sorry, Vice Chair.
I second that.
Ms. Turner seconds. All in favor, say aye. That is going to be the next position up, that is secretary, or accept nominations for position of secretary.
I nominate Ms. Teresa, secretary.
I second.
Are there any further nominations? Seeing none, all in favor of Ms. Turner serving as secretary, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. The next order of business will be the animal shelter director position. Earlier last month, Ms. Grisham submitted her 2-week notice. And then about the same day, Lisa also submitted her notice, her 2-week notice. So that position is currently vacant. We've been filling in with people from Public Works, and Renee from my office has been assisting. We do have one dog in there, and she's been assisting with that dog. So we did advertise that position. We did get 3 applicants. One of them looks very promising, but I have also been speaking with Smith County Humane Society and a couple other organizations about possibly coming over and serving or taking over the animal shelter and working with them. I did receive an email yesterday that right now that doesn't look like that's going to happen. They do have some other issues that they'd like to address and get a little bit more detail on that. So the door's not completely closed, though right now they're not too enthusiastic about it. I guess that's the best way to put it. So at this time, and I told her, it mainly came down to one of the questions I had is, are we going to assist them financially to get off the ground or do anything like that? They don't have any volunteers currently here. And then also the time frame we were looking at, like I said, right now we have no one at the animal shelter running it. We're just kind of doing it as we can. Ms. Grisham has been very, very gracious enough to still take calls to try to divert people away from the shelter, whether it's to a rescue, or she's also referring them if they need to shelter an animal. She's referring them to the Sumner County or Wilson County currently, which they both take out of county dogs. So we've been doing that. So at this time, I'll answer any questions. That's kind of where we stand right now. I did speak to one of the applicants. There's 2 other ones I haven't spoken to yet. I was going to go forward if, based on the will of the body here, if you'd just like to continue looking at our options. As far as I can see it, first option is we just go ahead and hire another replacement and try to have them work with Smith County. They did seem very open to working here to help establish a humane society here in Trousdale County. One of the applicants has a very strong background in dealing with different humane societies in another state and was a shelter director in another state. So felt very promising there. Of course, I haven't spoken to him yet. Another issue is going to be the compensation. Ms. Grisham's pay was $12.50 an hour, and we just completed a compensation study, and I do see that going up in the future. So the compensation might be an issue as we get into those discussions. But so that, like I said, that's kind of where we stand. Does anybody have any questions or any thoughts on the options or what I've talked about so far?
I feel for the time being, we need to go ahead and appoint somebody to that position. And if the road comes up later on with Smith County, I'd certainly be interested in entertaining that. I think that would be our best bet, but for right now, we need somebody. Who do you want to tell us the 3 applicants, or how you want to do that?
Actually, 2 of them don't live in Trousdale County, and one of them does. I spoke to the gentleman yesterday. I don't know if he'd want his name out there or not. There's a Mr. Brown. I'll just say that is Mr. Brown. And the other one of them resides in Lafayette, and another one resides in Cottontown.
The one I think from Trousdale County, he's a customer of ours. I know we can't discriminate, but, if there's large dogs or anything, he has artificial legs, so I don't know. I know we can't discriminate, but they also gotta be able to handle the job.
Yeah, as I go forward and talking to them, I was going to take them over to the shelter and talk to them about that, kind of show them where the shelter is and kind of stimulate as much as we can the job, given what we've got. But like I said, one of the candidates, I reviewed their application and they've been a shelter director before. The other two have not been. They've worked with animals or worked at a boarding center, but they've never been in an animal shelter itself. And one of them has a very extensive background in animal control, working in an animal shelter, working with humane societies and whatnot. So.
Will we be able to review the applicants?
I can send those, there's some information I'll have to redact from their applications because that's confidential, but we can send those to you. Ms. Hunter?
Is it closed now for applicants or is it still open for people?
We
to
advertised it for
apply?
2 weeks according to the personnel policy and it closed on August 27th.
It did? Okay. I didn't see that for some reason.
The out-of-town applicants, are they aware that, you know, they may have to come over a weekend and pick up a dog? And I mean, are they aware of what not living close by is going to be for them? Yeah.
Well, that's not correct. The animal shelter is not empowered to go out and pick up animals. It specifically says in its organizing thing that it cannot go out and pick up animals. So it can accept them. But as a director, there is still an assistant position open. Now, since they are a director position, it'll be up to them to hire their assistant. And then they would work out whatever the scheduling is going to be. And that's why I would hope we could work to get a network of volunteers here to help in those areas as well. But the director position, once they come in, it's kind of going to be up to them to how it operates and how that's going to be, the scheduling and everything's going to be done. But obviously they should know that you got to take care of the animals if there's any in there 24/7.
I would kind of like to see the hiring and responsibilities of this employee be handled by Mr. Chambers. I don't think it's any of our business as far as how he proceeds with the hiring. I know he's going to show them what we expect of him, and I'll be a part of it and helping them around the animal shelter. We're there daily, but I feel like all that needs to be left up to Stephen, just for responsibility purposes. I mean, he's always showed it to be good, and I really would like to just make a motion that we just leave this up to Mr. Chambers.
I second the motion to let Mr. Chambers make the best decision.
Okay, there was a motion by Mr. Salee that the mayor handle the hiring process and seconded by Mr. Presley. Is there any further discussion on that, Ms. Turner? Ms. Hunter? Okay. We'll see no further discussion. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, passes.
I would like you to, if you get somebody hired, maybe we'd have a short meeting and meet, just meet with the person and see, let us feel for them and just, kind of explain our expectations and stuff like that for the facility and the animals.
Yeah, that will be one of the first things we'll work with them to set up, because again, one of the applicants in their position of director, as far as the resume goes, and I haven't spoken to him yet, and I wanted to have this meeting and see what the will of the board was before we move forward on that, but had work to do policies and procedures and all that stuff. So I expect there to be a kind of complete review when they come in. At least that's what I would like to see. We recently did that with solid waste department. I'd like to start doing it with all the departments. So come in, look at a complete review of our policies and procedures, and then work with, if it's Smith County Humane Society, I would like to work with them to establish a group here, Humane Society in Trousdale County, and get them to be kind of like a friends of the shelter there. And then to start establishing those relationships with other rescues and whatnot around the area, so we can divert them before they ever get to the shelter. Maybe if we get a call and we can divert them to a rescue or something and keep them from ever entering the shelter. That's what I'd prefer. But again, that'll be something we work with the new director on to see how we proceed in that. But yes, we will certainly bring that in front of the board and introduce them as there would now be a board member by position, and then start that process of get their thoughts of what they want to do. I would allow them maybe 2 or 3 weeks, maybe even up to a month to kind of do their own review and then bring something to the board to talk about what they see going forward. Next item on the agenda was other business. Is there anything any of the board members have? Mr. Salee?
I would like to, I don't know, is this the new list of the board members that we have here? I don't see Mark on here or Miss Jenny. Is there an actual list of the new appointed board members?
We do have, and it's pretty much the email list, but we can send out a new list on there. Like Ms. Thomas is no longer on here and Mr. Presley is a new member, so we can send out that updated. That was on the minutes that was at the board as it was made up in that October 3rd, 2019. There's been a couple of changes since then, so we can send an updated list. And we'll also update that list on the county website as well.
I got a question. I know it depends on the person that you hire to fill the position. Would county insurance cover, like if we had if someone wanted to volunteer?
As far as liability or injury or something like that, I think they would probably be covered, but as far as health insurance or anything like that, obviously as a volunteer, no. But as far as our liability or anything like that, they would be covered up to an extent.
I think in the form, Ms. Turner has.
Yeah. We have a liability waiver that they'll have to sign, and if they're a minor, their parents have to sign too.
I feel it'd be less overwhelming for ever you do hire if they realize that we got a few volunteers, that they wouldn't be a one-man show.
Yeah, and that's something, if you all know anybody that wants to volunteer, or if we can get together a list of volunteers, and then work on that, and then maybe associate them or introduce them to the Smith County, and they can help us organize, whether it's a Smith County, Trazewell County Humane Society or an offshoot, or we just help us establish one here in the county. I'd like to start working on that process.
I know I was with the mayor when we met the two ladies from Smith County there. They seemed like they were really outgoing and interested in doing it. I don't know what's got them to pump the brakes, but if we could get those two over here to participate, I think they'll help a whole lot. Wagon Tails is one of the outfits that's ran over by one of the ladies. I don't know the other one. Do you, Mayor? Is there any more?
Yeah, there was Wagging Tails, and then there was a representative from the Smith County Humane Society. They're two different organizations, and her name is Shania Pelham. That's one I've been emailing and talking to on the phone with Ms. Pelham. Is there any other business or questions or?
So this position is full-time, correct?
Yes, ma'am, this is going to be a full-time position.
And then the assistant is part-time, correct?
Yes. As it's currently set up and budgeted for, it's one full-time position, that'd be the director, and one part-time, which was the assistant.
Is it 40 hours or 32 hours?
They normally been doing 40.
Okay, because I read somewhere about this, it was 32 or something.
Well, it was 32, but that in a roundabout way got changed down to 30 in the Affordable Care Act. Anything over 30, you have to provide them health insurance and whatnot. But the position they put in hours, it was 40 hours a week. It's just anybody that works anything over 30, we have to provide them health insurance and to comply with the Affordable Care Act. All right, next item is public comment. Mr. Gregory, you have any comment or questions, or if you could step to the microphone, that way they can hear you.
One thing, and I take my editor's hat off for this one. Rotary, typically tries to do a project every every year, the president-elect, which currently is myself, is typically charged with coming up with something. And the club has suggested maybe looking at the animal shelter as to see what its needs might be, something that we could help with. So at some point, and maybe after a director is hired, or depending on the timing on that, I'd like to get with somebody, like I said, either the new director or a board member, and then try to come up with some ideas on what the shelter's needs might be that Rotary might could help with.
Yeah, I'd say certainly that'll be probably the best handled by the new director when they come in. And like I said, we're gonna take them up there to look at it beforehand and get their thoughts on it. And then when they come in, obviously give them a week or two to kind of assess it, and then we'll make sure to share that with them. Maybe they can come speak at Rotary as well. Well, seeing no other members of the public,
Make a
This being
motion
a-
to adjourn.
Mr. Slee makes a motion to adjourn.
I second.
Mr. Presley seconds. It's non-debatable. All in favor, say aye. Yep.